Welcome back, fellow Dream Warriors, to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Zeztz, episode 36. We start off once again with Baku staring at the face of his own death on his knees. Only this time, Baku is not screaming for Emo Alexis to don't shoot me in the face. He's just staring at him with the face of defiance. I wish he could just spit at his face or just spits down on the floor, being like, F you, I'm gonna go out in the face of defiance, and you are a piece of shit for killing Rita, and blah, blah, blah. And then, all of a sudden, Nem starts running in and just tries to shield Baku, and Nem doesn't say anything. I assume she would have said, no, Emo Alexis, don't kill him. Take me. I know you want me for your weird experiments. Just take me. Just let Baku go. And Baku's like, no, you shouldn't even be here. Just go over there. Go with the nerds. Just go. No. And so they were like fighting, and Emo Alexis is like so emotionless. He just continues to hold the gun and just like, I don't care. Like, either way, both of you are gonna die. So yeah, either you go or Baku goes first. I mean, either way, I win. And then here comes Nox having a bit of a shootout, and he runs towards Baku and Nem, protects them, and tells him, hey, you're in the clear, get out of here. And so both of them gets up, but before they go to where they needed to go, Baku tells Nox, thank you, I owe you one. And so they run to the unconscious nerds, and then Nox does his magic, they make their escape, and that's it. And then we have a shootout between him and Emo Alexis, and then Five jumps in, realizing that, hey, you're Nox. You're also on the list, so I have to get you. And we all know that Five is just Code's lapdog, so yeah. So we have a brief moment between Nox and Five, and then another brief moment with Emo Alexis shooting at Nox, and then Nox is shooting at Emo Alexis, and eventually the numbers was too much for Nox, and he got pinned against the wall by Five, and Emo Alexis is talking to Nox and says, so this is your revenge against Code? Really? And Nox responds with, as he is looking at the chalk version of Rita, because this is a kid's show, and, we don't see dead bodies. Instead, they turn into, water or dust. In Rita's case, she turns into a pool of pink water in the real world, while in Dreamland, she is hand-drawn through black chalk in the wall. So he stares at the black chalk drawn of Rita and says, as usual, you treat people like crap. You have no respect for humanity whatsoever. Code shouldn't exist. And then all of a sudden, a doorway to Baku's spy office appears, and Baku's like signaling Nox, like, hey, come on, like, come here. And so Nox fights his way from Five's grabs, and he runs towards the doorway, and this is where they make their escape. And the scene ends with Emo Alexis saying that you people are the problem. You champion dreams as if it's an expression of freedom. Freedom is an evil thing that sows only disorder. And before I move to the next scene, right? Emo Alexis, with his response, reminds me a whole lot of Sauron. Sauron wants Middle-earth under his control through order, control order. Free will is what causes a country to go into discord, fall into chaos. And I assume that emo Alexis views dreams as, hey, dreams should be ordered and obedient. If you have free will, freedom in these dreams, discord will come in and disrupt peace. So in his mind, order and obedience is what keeps the world at peace. And he views Nox and especially Baku as a threat to that world peace. So we go to the next scene after the opening credits in the spy room. And this is where Baku asks Nox if he knows anything about Somnia. And Nox says it's a system that connects everyone's dreams and regulates them. By altering people's dreams, you can change their memories, their perceptions, even their minds. And Baku asks, okay, if that's the case, how come we are not affected by this? And Nox responds with, because Nem was born out of nightmares, so she's unaffected because of that. The two of us and the other agents are immune is because we mastered dream learning. That's why. And then the scene ends with Nox asking, well, mostly demanding Baku, please give me the location of Code's main headquarters. And you can tell that Baku was very hesitant on giving him that said information because Baku knows what lies in that headquarters. Full of Code soldiers, you're going to have to deal with Emo Alexis, and of course you have to deal with number 5 as well. So it's Nox versus an entire army full of Code members. Like, as strong as Nox is, I don't think he will survive a gauntlet full of soldiers facing 5 plus an emo Alexis. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen. So we go to the next scene, and we go to the secret garden and the crazy lady. And the crazy lady is starting to hear voices, and she responds with, oh, it's the Phantom. Go away, please. And so the crazy lady gets a visit from the Phantoms. One of the Phantoms, Phantom Nightmares, I mean. And she says, hey, crazy lady, you're starting to lose yourself in dreams. Having stepped once into dreams, you can no longer escape their illusions. And all of a sudden, the crazy lady sees Nem, but obviously it's not Nem. It turns out to be the Phantom in disguise, and ends the scene with be lost forever in illusion. And that's how the scene ends. We go to the next scene with Nem, right? And Baku is showing Nem that in the real world, as well as in the dream space, that people are seeing her as a 2D anime character. And, you know, Nem was like, oh man, this is such a bad dream. And Baku responds with, yeah, that's a terrible bad dream. And then all of a sudden you hear a voice, and they both look up and they see Zeke. He came back from the dead. And at first, Baku was like, nah, I don't think Zeke is here. Maybe I'm imagining things. And then both him and Nem look up again and realize, wait a minute, Zeke is here. And they both scream and yell. And Baku's like, how can this be? I killed you. And Zeke explains that when they started thinking about bad dreams, they were picturing him. And he responds as well that the dead can show up in dreams all the time. And because of them, their imagination, it brought him back. Then we have a funny moment between Baku and Zeke. Baku tries to kick him out, and Zeke was like, no, you can't do that. I just made my triumphant return. And what I want is to experience more of Zetz's bad dreams. I also want to experience Nem's bad dreams. I want to have my claws and my thirst quench in bad dreams. And he gets on Baku's motorcycle, and Nem was like, "You're such an addict when it comes to bad dreams, aren't you? You're so high on them." And Zeztz responds with, "Well, that's what you call freedom. That's what dreams are all about, freedom." And Baku painfully realizes that, yeah, Zeztz is right. And then, he starts to remember the meat dream, how everybody is happy, enjoying their freedom. Like, dreams should be, freedom, that everybody's allowed to dream on something. They could create their own world while they're sleeping. But right now, they can't because of code. And Zeztz responds with, "Oh, is it code Somnia?" And Baku asks, "Do you know about this thing?" And Zeztz says that I was a part of its creation because code turned me into a guinea pig because of that. And Baku responds with, "Okay, then I have to, go against code now. I have to fight code now because of this, because code Zombia has to be one of the most dangerous weapons ever. If they're able to control people's minds, altering them and restrict them from dreaming, like, I need to put a stop to it." So he declares that he's gonna, take his fight to code. And Zeztz just volunteers, hey, I could tag along, I could be a most valuable ally. And that way I can see, your bad dreams, also Nem's bad dreams, and everybody's hunky-dory. Just let me join. And Zeztz also adds, the reason that I'm here is because you need me. And both Baku and Nem just stare at each other and does the, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, you see Zeztz starting to disappear. And Zeztz is like, "Hey, what are you doing? You can't do this." And he starts disappearing. And it's like, "No!" And the weird, actor effect as his head disappears. And both of them's like, yeah, we're not that desperate. So we go to the next scene. 5 reports to Emo Alexis that he lost track of Baku. And Emo Alexis says that he must have returned back to his hideout. That's why we can't reach him now. And so we have to do the next best thing, which is trying to lure him out from his spy office. And so we quickly go to the next scene with Minami getting kidnapped. And then Baku getting a call from Emo Alexis saying that he has Minami. If you want her back, you need to go to code. And I'm sure you know where it's located due to your premonition arc. And you better show up or else she dies. And so you go to the next scene with Minami. She shares a cell with Zero. And Zero says, "I'm sorry for dragging you into this." And Minami says, "Is it because of the nightmares? What are they?" And, Minami doesn't know anything about Zeztz or nightmares or anything like that. And Zero says, he takes responsibility for the creation of Somnia and reassures her that, "Don't worry, my son will rescue you." Notice he says, "rescue you, not us." So I'm guessing that Zero was like, "Yeah, he's not gonna rescue me because I did a lot of bad shit to him. I'm a lousy papa, so I don't think he will rescue me. He's gonna leave me in this cell." But later on, it's discovered that now, regardless of what Zero has done to him in the past, he's not gonna leave him in the cell. So yeah, but right now he thinks that Minami's gonna be the one getting rescued and not him. Minami becomes puzzled by what Zero said and says, "Okay, how can this be? How can he rescue me when he's just a regular guy?" And Zero responds with, "Regardless if he is a regular guy or not, he will never sit by when others need help. And we quickly see a transition where Baku is getting ready to go to the headquarters of Code, knowing that it's a trap. As Baku was riding to the headquarters of Code, Nox shows up and he meets up with Emo Alexis. And Nox responds with, "I'm going to expose the darkness starting with you, Emo Alexis." And Alexis responds with, "You're such an excellent agent, but the problem was you were far too straightforward and self-disciplined, number 4. And Nox gets pissed off because he says, "I'm not 4, I'm not a number." And then they transform and we start, the fight between Emo Alexis and Nox. And during the match, 3 says to Nox that you're far too talented to die. Come back to my service. But of course, Nox says hell no. But Emo Alexis responds with, "This is not a request." And then you notice something. As Nox uses his shadow redemption, Emo Alexis was sucking Nox's energy up. And Nox beats Emo Alexis. Nox was like, "What the hell did you just do? Like, what's going on?" And then Emo Alexis gets up, almost like an Undertaker type of getting up, and says, "Well, I just stole your energy." And he uses that energy to give himself a new form. It's not really a new form. It's just like, it's the same form, only with spikes coming out. And that was it. And also like red linings on the helmet. And yeah, that was it there. I mean, it's just it's just added specs. I mean, nothing too special. It's just spikes. So with his new upgraded form, he defeats Nox. And then Baku shows up pretty late. And he heals Nox out using the recovery capsule, only to get punched in the face by Nox. And Baku was in shock, like, why? Like, did he betray me now? Why? And Emo Alexis responds with, "Well, I altered his mind. Now he's back working for Code now." And he orders Nox to kill Baku. And just when Nox was about to kill him, Baku escapes using the plasma capsule. However, just when Baku thought that he escaped death once again, nope, because the moment he stopped, he was greeted by cold soldiers getting ready to shoot to kill. But luckily, Baku and his quick thinking, he uses his capsules to defeat the soldiers. However, after defeating the soldiers, he gets greeted by Agent 5, and this is where we have a fight where it's only their fists and capsules. Because for one, Baku doesn't have a driver anymore. And 5 has been known to, have fist fights less than, transforming. He does transform, but he likes to, fight without his armor on. So during the fight, Baku asked 5 that, "Do you think that Code is doing the right thing?" And 5 responds with, "It's a dirty job, but somebody has to do it." And Baku asked, like, "So you didn't felt anything when Rita, your partner, died, didn't you?" And 5 responds with, "It's not just her that died. A whole lot of people died for Code. If I don't do anything to complete the mission, then their deaths would be in vain." And Baku ends the fight with, "Oh, okay, well, I will protect this world from the nightmares and Code." And he gives 5 a headbutt, knocking him out. And before he leaves, he takes 5's print, his eye print, and gives him like a fist bump in the chest as a sign of respect. So after defeating 5, he rescues Minami and he rescues Zero, even though there was a brief moment where he is thinking about leaving Zero in his cell. But knowing how a hero Baku is, he's not going to do that. So he also rescues Zero. And we quickly go to the next scene where Zero, Baku, Minami, and Nem are in the spy room, and Baku declares war against Code. Nem tells Baku that how you gonna fight Code when you don't have your driver anymore. And this is where Zero comes in and tells everybody that I can make him a new driver because all the blueprints of creating the Zeztz driver lies in Zero's mind. And then we get to the last scene where Emo Alexis is giving Nox his mission, which is go find Baku and kill him by any means necessary. Then you see Nox's red eyes, implying that he is indeed under the control of Emo Alexis and Code, and that's how the episode ends. In regards to Zeke's return, I have no issues of it. I consider Zeke to be one of the popular ones in the entire season, but I just think that when he came back, you could tell that Zeke's character has been turned into a comic relief. Because before he died, he was a badass. He was a threat to not just Baku, but also Code and the crazy lady. He was a character that everybody was fearing and say, hey, you need to get away from this guy because he is a threat. But now when he came back, you could tell that there is like a shift in this character, and he acts all like playful. He is holding Baku's hands and asking him like, hey, I want to feast on your bad dreams and also Nem's. Please let me tag along, please. Like, it's almost childlike. And this is similar to what happened with Freddy Krueger, because like I said to you guys, that Zeke is, Zeztz Freddy Krueger. And just like Freddy Krueger in the first movie, he was a threat. He was a badass. Like, he takes no prisoners. He will slash. He will kill anybody whoever crosses his path in dreams. The same thing that happened with Zeke. He was the only Kamen Rider that he hasn't used any other capsules except his one capsule that he uses to transform with. He can go head to head with Baku, Nox, and just come out on top. It's just because, Extreme happened and he ended up being outdreamed, and that's how he got killed. But now it looks like Yuya is once again trying to recreate the lightning in the bottle with Zeke, because for those who are familiar with Yuya's work, his first Kamen Rider season was X-Aid. And for those who've seen X-Aid, there is a character named Dan, and he was the CEO of this gaming company. And in the beginning, you assumed that he was on the side of the Kamen Riders, but at the tail end of an arc or whatever, it turns out that he is just another psychopath. And this is where Dan made Kamen Rider history in this infamous Christmas episode where he actually killed off a Kamen Rider. And that's where, he stabbed himself as the biggest heel in that season. And when he was defeated, Yuya decided to bring him back, but as a comic relief. You see him die, he pops out of hats, he is crazy to the point where he's telling everybody that he is a god, and you better mention me as a god or else. And, he became a comic relief. And I get this feeling that Zeke is going to fall into that same treatment where he's going to end up being the comic relief. Baku and Nem is going to make him disappear. And we have funny moments between them. And, it's going to chip away on his badass character. One part of me likes it, while the other is like, I don't know, no, I don't like it. It's just a mixed bag for me. The same thing that happened with Freddy Krueger. After the first movie, then the second and the third, that's when things started to change with Freddy. yeah, he is still a killer. He kills people in dreams, but at the same time, he does this comedic jokes, one-liners and whatnot. It's starting to become that way. And, similar to Lord Zed, he was a badass, he was big and scary, but then the housewives called Savan and mailed angry letters to tell him, hey, you better switch the character up with Zed or else, I'm gonna sue you or whatever. And look what happened with Zed. He became some sort of karmic relief with Rita, and the rest is history. So I don't know, what's your thoughts and opinions of Zeke having like a personality change? You like it, you dislike it, or you're just like me where you're like, it's a mixed bag. Like, I like it, yet I don't like it. That's where I am at right now with Zeke. And then there's Baku. Guys, do you find it strange that Baku has strangely forgotten that he has made his own driver and captain after 20 years in Dream Purgatory? Like, you would think that Baku would have said to Nem that, hey, don't worry, I made my own driver and captain before and I can do it again. But no, he just stood there and be like, oh, I don't know how to build one, when he actually built one for 20 years. But this is where Yuya says, let's have Baku forget the fact that he built a driver and captain and have his motorcycle father be the one to build a third one for him. Yes, people, you're starting to witness Yuya's great writing starting to fall off the cliff with these changes. So we have a couple episodes left to witness that downfall. Hopefully it's not the case, but with these changes, especially towards Zeke's character, I'm not looking forward to the next couple of episodes. But we shall see, right? So give me your thoughts and opinions about this episode. Did you dislike it? Do you like it? Did I miss anything? Even though I have my notes in front of me, I may have missed a couple of things here and there. You never know. Give a like if you like it, and please subscribe. And I'll see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny!